the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, Chris Hoffman here. So let's talk about AI. AI is on everybody's mind. AI is showing kind of where it's headed and where it's going to go. And there's people who are very anxious about it. There are people who love it and are embracing it. I have been using some AI in some of my videos to kind of start things off. I changed my video format here a little bit, kind of see what is possible, what's not. I found that it's useful, and what you used to have to maybe get a production studio to go make some rendering. I think it's going to be great for like TV shows like Destination Unknown and the Josh Gates things that they do. Expedition X shows where you give a concept of something. You used to have to go shoot footage. And now you can just render it in AI to kind of tell the same thing. And that's how I've been using it. If I need to set up the shot, okay, I'm going to talk about a subject here. And what am I going to talk about? What's an example of what I'm going to say? What's a visual reference? Because you're doing a video, you don't want to talk about text. You want to show it. You need to show it. So AI can show kind of what you're doing. But for it to come up on its own, or just to be AI for the sake of being AI and just be gimmicky, it's not very useful, but it can be very useful for the production value of telling a story. But the story still has to come from somewhere. It still has to come from thought. And I don't see AI replacing thought. I see it being a tool that can take things, you give it an idea, it takes it to, does something with it, so it frees up your bandwidth. Now I have, both of my daughters make a living off art. They're artistic people. And so the traditional way of painting or photography is going to be challenged by AI. And as I've told them, I said, there's still ways that you can, produce original content and have AI supplement and assist in that transaction process. But to insist on it to stay the way it was is, like I said, we're in the times of Jurassic Park, where you had paleontologists. I think it was the Dr. Grant example when they first visited the base museum, when they first learned about genetically created dinosaurs. There's a famous line where Dr. Grant was told that he was going extinct because he dug up bones. He spent all his time digging bones up to figure out what dinosaurs were all about. And now they genetically made dinosaurs. And is it the same as the dinosaurs that previously existed? Is a genetically created dinosaur the same as one that used to walk around? Or does it really matter? And those are the kinds of questions we're asking now. But the digging up the dinosaur bones out in the field and then to write books about what you observed was coming to an end, essentially. That was the premise of Jurassic Park, the movie, and why it's so famous. And it's interesting because those visual effects that came about at that time were so jaw-dropping. I remember Phil Tippett did the Star Wars effects for Star Wars, and even Harryhausen, who did all this utilized all the stop-motion photography that was so well known, even going back to the 33 version of King Kong. Everybody was anxious about being made extinct, and they were originally, going back to Jurassic Park, it was going to be stop motion dinosaurs that told that story. And at that exact time, they found a way to make dinosaurs in computer graphics. It was the first time it was actually possible to make something that had skin and texture and could be filmed in hard light and make it computer rendered. And everybody who was brought onto that movie to do the stop motion photography were suddenly extinct. And that's how the rate of technology comes along to change things. And it was for the better. It was a great movie, great talent, and the story was told. But it was a story that mattered, not so much the visual effects. The visual effects simply made it so that you could believe in the dinosaurs, but the story is what really mattered. You don't go to the movie to see the visual effect. And that's the same thing we're going to deal with here in writing. You know, I'm writing a book, The Politics of Heaven. And every word I write in it is going to be my word, my writing, because only I can make it. You can have opinions from AI. AI can help edit and give suggestions, but you still have to have a heart and soul put into something. AI is not going to be able to do it. And I'll tell everybody that. AI is not going to replace the human being for the heart or soul what something needs, the vision that it takes to make something happen. But for all those sandbaggers out there that are cruising through their lunches, they don't work very hard at their jobs and they know it. They can be replaced easily through data analysis. They're going to find themselves on the out. We're talking about the Paul Bunyan story, where Paul Bunyan went up against the chainsaw, and Paul Bunyan could whack all the trees with one swing of an axe. The chainsaw made it a mechanical process. And the story of it was kind of a sad one. The chainsaw beat Paul Bunyan, because that was part of the evolution of improvement. But you don't want to hang on to, you want the innovation to occur. And what we're talking about with AI is an expansion of economic output. So I don't think people are going to be put out of work. I think this idea of a universal wage that even Elon Musk has proposed is going to be something that's going to be a result of all this AI. I don't think that's going to be the case, because you still have to have output, you still have to have productive standard, and you still have to have human input to make anything work. AI will only be able to extend the efforts. It's not going to be able to produce them on its own. And there's a fear that might happen at some point in time, and I don't think so, because I think the creative enterprise of the human intellect comes from something deeper than just physical reality. I think there's a aspect of our souls that go into the things we make, the creative output we put forth, and it might be represented in our living life, but it comes from someplace beyond our physical manifestation. And AI can only mimic what we create. It's not been able to recreate that, because all of it, even its databases that it builds everything from, exists in a physical world. Maybe in a quantum compression cycle to store vast amounts of memory in a very small space, but it still exists based on what humans have produced over time. But what humans produced comes from a heart and soul that isn't easily scientifically applicable. So I say not to be too concerned about the AI. Use it to your advantage. Make it work for you. Don't work for it. And it will expand the economy, not reduce it. It won't. The worry about it reducing jobs is to say that you assume that jobs is a stable factor. But instead, what the AI will do will allow the jobs that people should be doing to be done better, and will allow people to do other things that are more on the creative output side, where things really matter. And it still comes down to industry needs to actually make physical stuff, make physical parts. So the economy of the world is going to move away from what academia has prepared it for, and we're going to get back to making real things. And if you're in a job where you're making a real something, that isn't going to be replaced by AI. There's robotics that can do a lot of advanced manufacturing, but they can't do a lot of the delicate stuff that only human minds and human hands can do. And when you have economic expansion, it's still the human touch that's going to drive all the frontiers. Machinery can catch up and maybe make it more efficient, make it more producible over time, but you should always be growing, always changing, always adapting. And so I think the big, all the Silicon Valley pinheads who think that AI is going to take over their quirky natures to interact with human beings and replace that interaction with synthetic realities is the fantasy of the awkward. You still have to go actually physically make it. When I say that, I'm thinking of Elon Musk, because he's a little awkward. He's smart. He's creative. He's very an ostentatious engineering personality. But there's also a little bit of a quirky nature and human interaction that he's not exactly comfortable with, and he comes across kind of awkward. And I think a lot of people like him or like that. And the fantasy is that they can minimize those awkward interactions by having computers do the work in communication instead of having to do it with real people. I don't see that happening. I think the bandwidth of human people doing more human people things that AI can then copy and migrate into mass amounts of economic output is where this is all headed. And I find that I've always said I think AI would improve my reach, improve the things I'm doing, make it more powerful, allow it to get to more people, and allow what's in my head to be shown in ways that previously you would have had to have a huge budget to go hire people to do graphic arts for you. And instead now I do my stuff I do, and then AI tries to copy what's in my head and give me something that can be shown visually. And it's worked, I think, in a way that has made the presentation of that information better or clear. When someone's like, oh, I heard him say some things, but what does he mean by it? And when they see a visual representation of what I'm talking about, it helps them. And if that makes things better, that's great. If it expands the reach, great. If it helps people understand things faster and more conceptually, even better. But AI doesn't know what it doesn't know. It only can duplicate what I tell it or what human beings tell it. And I don't see that relationship changing anytime soon. I think it's only going to get to be more of an issue where human imagination and ingenuity will be given more bandwidth because AI allows the mundane acts that normally would be done to be done faster and more reliably and all around the clock, freeing the mind and the body to go drive the frontier of innovation in ways that we've never had the ability to do as a human race. And I would say that the trajectory of everything we've ever become is bringing us to this doorstep. And it's going to be an exciting time. And I think it's going to be very interesting and useful. And we will expand in ways that we never thought was possible as far as human intellect and its applicability to economic frontiers. And I'm very excited about it. I could understand people being anxious, but I would caution them to embrace the opportunity and utilize it with the best of what you have, and allow that to be shown in ways that were never possible before. And that's what I see the big benefit of this age to come. And I'm encouraged by it. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.